Oh, hello. I want to give you an overview over my Wargame Map Tool. That's at least how it's called for now. I don't know if the name stays or not, but we just call it like that now. So this will be a series of videos where I cover all functions and options you got with my tool for creating maps for Hex and Counter games, especially Hex and Counter war games. And as mentioned, there will be several videos, and with this one we start with a basic overview showing what the tool is, how it works, and how you can set up your first map. And in the following videos, I will cover different options you got here. So if you start the app up, you can see that your screen is divided into three different sections. So in the middle, you got your map. You can zoom in or zoom out with your mouse wheel, and if you click and hold the right mouse button, you can drag around the map. The left mouse button usually just applies your tools that you have selected. On the on the right hand side, you got your layers panel, and in the bottom you got a minimap. So on the minimap, you always see like the red square where your view is currently focused. And if you click on the minimap, you jump to that space on the map. So the layer panel here is maybe the core or the heart of this tool. So I structured this app around different layer types you can apply. So right now there are the 10 different available layer types are here present here, which are assets, sketch, text, draw, freeform path, center path, border, hexite, fill, and image. We'll cover each type in a separate video, but for now you have to know a few things about the layers. So each layer gives you different options and different tools you can use for creating or editing things on the map. And this is like a stack, so the higher up a layer is, that means that it will overdraw all layers below it. So, for example, if you got here an asset like a building icon or something like that, and it is above a text layer, it means that the text will be rendered below this asset layer. You can simply change the order of layers by just drag and dropping them with your left mouse button, or you can use the buttons up and down to change the order. As mentioned, the higher up it is, it means it overdraws the layers below. If you left click a layer, it automatically selects the tools available in that layer. So here on the left side, you can see that you have different tools available, and they are each individual for each layer type. You can also hit the checkbox in front of the layer's name to hide it or to show it again. And you can just delete a layer by clicking the delete button, or you can add new layers by clicking add, choosing the layer type, setting up a name. If you don't set up a name, it will just be labeled as the layer type, and your layer show up here. Also important to mention, you're not limited to one layer per layer type. So you can add endless layers, at least as long as your memory is okay with that. So as mentioned, we will cover the layer types and what they do and how they work and all the options in separate videos. For this video, it's just like an overview over the app. So we will also cover the top menu right here. So you got a help menu with a shortcut overview where you can see all shortcuts assigned depending on the layer type you got, also some global shortcuts. And you also got a documentation where yeah, every button in each layer is labeled, and you have a description what it does, and also some yeah, overall features and documentation. So in the View tab, you can have different options for your view. So if you're zoomed in somewhere in your app, on your map, and you click on Zoom to Fit, it centers your map and resets the zoom. And you also have the option to show or hide the grid features, which are the grid itself. So if I deselect Show Grid, you see that the hex grid disappears. You also can show or hide the center dots in the hexes itself. The coordinates can be shown or hidden, and if available on the map, the megahexes. This like default startup map doesn't have megahexes, and you can also blend in and blend out the minimap, and you can set a background color for your working space. In the Edit tab, you can undo or redo, which you can also do with Control Y or Control Z. Set. And you got your map settings, but we'll cover this soon. You can edit your color palettes. We'll cover this in the specific layer type using them. And you can have a little calculator where you can calculate how big your map has to be in terms of hexes. So if you model after a real world terrain and you measure the straight distance like in north-south or east-west direction, and you know the hex scale in kilometers or miles per hex, you can just type in your real world measurements and the app will automatically tell you how big in terms of hexes your map has to be. Also respecting that it's different if you have flat top hexes or pointy top hexes, because the distance on flat top hexes, like here in the north-south direction, is exactly 12 kilometers per hex, but in the east-west direction, as the hexes are like shifted in together along the hex side, in this case it's like not perfectly the hex scale from one hex to another, but rather it's the square of third divided by 2 times the hex scale, and this is also respected here. And now we come to our last settings. Of course, you can save your progress, save your session. You can open it up again. With the export menu, you can export your map. We'll cover that in a separate video. And the probably most important option is the New tab, where you can create a new map. And we'll go through this now. So if you open the New Map dialog, you can see you got plenty of options for your map. The first thing worth mentioning is you can define presets. So you can choose the settings you like, hit save, give it a name, and then this preset will be saved here. And you can just click on the preset, load it, and all the settings you defined for that preset appear here. So if you do several maps in the same style, this comes in handy, as you don't have to type in all the values all over again. So now we'll cover the values and what you can define. The first thing is the grid group, and here you can define your hex size. In this case, for operational type maps, I made the preset with 26 millimeters per hex, and this is the distance from flat side to flat side going straight through the center. Then, of course, your map size, so your columns and your rows, you can just type in how big your map has to be. And depending on what you type in, you can see that right here, it also shows how big the map will be in millimeters. You can change the orientation, so default is flat. That means the flat side of the hexes shows on the top. And if you select pointy top, you can see that the pointy sides of the hexes, like the corners, are on top. We'll leave it at flat. And also you can define an offset. So the default is that the first row, the first column is one down compared to the second one, you can also change that to offset up. That means that the first column is higher than the second one. You can change the style of your hex grid. So the default is full lines, so you can see the full hexes. You can also change it to crossings only, and what that does is it, so you just see the crossings of the hexes and not the full edges. You can change the width of your hex grid. You can just make it smaller or bigger, and of course you can change the color. Let's make it blue. So yeah, that's for it. Then you can define if you want to have center dots or not. Of course, here you can define the size of the center dots, also the color. You can also change it later. You can also change separate ones, but we'll cover this all later in the layer videos. You can also create an outline around the center dots. So, for example, make it like this. Yeah. So then the next step is the coordinates. You can blend them in or out. You can set the position, like on top or bottom, and you can then set an offset, so you can place your coordinates wherever you want them to be. The format can be like numbers without a separator. You can use a dot as a separator. You can use letter number combination, or numbers separated by a comma. Yeah, you can change the size of the coordinates, and you can change if you want to start at 0 or start at 1. The next step is you can draw a border around your hex map. So if you deactivate this, then the edge of the map is like the outer points or flat edges of the hexes. If you activate a border, you get like a square or rectangle border around your hex map. You can define the distance from the border to the first hex, and you can also give the space between the border and the hexes a certain color. And one more option, if you have no border, you can activate half hexes, which mean that the hexes at the top, bottom, and the sides will be cut exactly in half. So in order you can like create several maps of this type and put them together, top to top, bottom to bottom, whatever you want. So you can create like variable maps with different submaps. And the last option you got is megahexes. So megahexes means that you can create bigger hexes inside your hex grid. You can define a radius here, and you got two modes. I will show you this now. So let's make them red in order for seeing them better. So let's say we want this map like this. You can also define a color which will fill all hexes for the beginning. Let's create it now. And now you can see our map is created as we set it up. And if we now activate, oh sorry, I didn't activate them. Megahexes, like this. Ah, damn it, that's like bad luck. Make it red. So now you can see the megahexes, and there are two modes. The hex edge mode, like it follows exactly the edges of the hexes. And you can also use the geometric mode, which means that the megahexes will be drawn perfectly hexes itself, so they cut through some of the hexes. And these are the basic map settings. And in the next video, we will begin describing the different layer types.